But if you look at Lion King itself, Lion King is an indigenous story, eh? So they are bringing an understanding of the world forward, eh? Which is the science, and yeah, it's just once again people's perception of it, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That they perceive it as sometimes the simplistic. There's more depth to the simplistic side of things than there is to have these fancy words and get all complicated about it, right? You can ask people, to put their science in layman's term. They get offended because they've spent so many years learning all the technical terms for it, and now you're asking them to put it in layman's terms, which they can do, but they don't like to do it, right? So once again, there's that ego that jumps forward and wants to establish itself as I don't know whether it's right or at least somewhere along the way, right? It's establishing itself as having a position. And that's not what oneness of life is about. It's about having a heart-based connection. And there is no ego that's in the way, asking you to be better than or less than. There's those concepts. There's no either or. There's no right or wrong. The ego tends to divide things up in that manner, right? And that's where the problems come from. So if we can live as a heart-based people, and you have this feeling of the connection that you have to everything and everyone, that's a completely different way of living. That's an advanced way of living. Yeah, I think those concepts and ideas, they're hard to express, they're hard to get across. People might think they're simplistic in nature, but there's a depth, those are scientific understandings, about how the world operates. And I believe that the reason why that's so difficult is because we've been educated away from our hearts. We've been told that rational, logical, ways of thinking and ways of being in the world is the way to go. It's kind of mind over matter kind of thing, and it's really not that for Indigenous people. For us, it's more about being in that circle. No one's better than anybody else, and it levels the playing field. There is no need to even be better. There's a concept of cooperation and collaboration, but you got to have that rudimentary, that basic understanding has to be there in the first place, right? And that's where people lack. Yeah, because the ego, it's a hierarchy. It's a top to bottom system. It's not a circular system. And so to switch from one to the other, it's kind of difficult because the mainstream has always been about competition and not cooperation or collaboration. It's always been about striving for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, right? That the education system set up like that to move through from elementary school, secondary, right, post-secondary, right, graduate study, postgraduate. Like there's this, like you're always striving, as if, and the concept is embedded into us that there's one step better, one step better, one step better, eh? And that's a lifelong conditioning. That's a conditioning in a system that supports that. So trying to get people to step away from that form of education and it's been drilled into you, it's part of how you live your life, and to get them to say, okay, leave that idea behind and come and sit in a circle and let's collaborate and let's be cooperative with one another and let's forget about all of the thinking and just relate to each other through our heart. A lot of people have a hard time with that because now we're going into emotions.
They do. Everybody wants to do that. Certainly not working because it's so competitive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think the day will come when I'm hopeful that I'll see it in my lifetime, that there will be a shift, a paradigm shift from the top to down hierarchical model to the circular kind of everybody's all on the same page and all on the same level. I'm really hoping that I see that in my lifetime. And that would make me happy. I could go on to the next life in a really happy way if that was the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.